with great fanfare this week, the county government lauded the announcement of the largest ever affordable housing project development in the county for a total of 190 residents. You know, Mike, you know, that's the pimple on the elephant's ass. I hate saying it that way. You know, a study was done in 2015 that said there were, you know, there were 380,000 dwelling units in Montgomery County, but only 2% of it were built since 2010. We need 3,000 units a year, and they're building 1,500. So, you know, we're 30,000 units behind in the decade. So how are we going to accomplish this?
Well, I appreciate you picking some really easy issues for us to address today. So
yeah, well,
but no, the housing issue has been an issue since I was elected to office. So we've needed 380,000 units for the last 20 years, and the reality is we haven't come close. And there is no magic bullet. There's no single solution that we're going to do. And the reality is that we've got to, again, kind of what we're talking about with the fentanyl issue, it's going to be a multi-pronged approach. And you've got to be able to, one, recognize that there are changes taking place. Interest rates are making it difficult for projects to get financed. And so how do we as a county help facilitate that and provide some stability for potential developers? We've got to increase the ability for a developer to get a project through. We've got to have a real conversation. We have real conversations in the county about what it means. What is density? We went through the Thrive 2050 discussion. I just spent Tuesday and Wednesday this week at a series of seminars in the development space. And the challenge is, and we're not the only people seeing this, is what does development begin to look like? We were trying to do dense development in have people live near where they work. Well, so if you have downtown development and people aren't going into businesses anymore because I can work from home 3 or 4 days a week, what's that do to the development cycle? And where are people? What are the pathways? What are the transit pathways and the commuter pathways? What's that beginning to look like? So what's that mean for where we need to put density? We've got to have real candid conversations, and we've got to be able to talk about it in a real way. And it's not just affordable and just low income. It's got to be workforce housing as well. We've got to allow people to be able to live here, work here, and our kids to be able to come back and live here. And there's so many different pieces, but we've got to recognize it, and we've got to put it on the table and have honest dialogue with ourselves and with our communities, because we have a whole lot of NIMBYism in Montgomery County too, and we don't want to see it in my backyard. We want to put it someplace else.
You know, Mike, in preparation for this topic, I reached out to a national developer who works in workforce housing. Mm-hmm. And he does public-private partnerships in Vail and in Aspen and Truckee and areas where seasonal employment, you know, is necessary. But it costs, even if you have no ground costs, mm-hmm. It's $400,000 per unit of a townhouse. I mean, $400,000 per unit. Now, Cheryl, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, looking at the Montgomery County development cycle, says there are 7 different county and state entities that are involved in nonprofit housing. That there are seven. Isn't just red tape strangling the development process?
1,000%. First of all, I'm just going to say it flat out. The planning board, anything they proposed should be off the table. So the fact that the Silver Spring development is actually going through with Natalie at the helm is crazy to me. Anything that they've done, scrap it. We need to start from scratch. Nothing should take 20 years to get affordable housing. What happened to MPDU? You know, affordable housing for first responders, for police officers, for nurses. Where's their affordable housing? That just kind of went by the wayside. What they're trying to do is make affordable housing for undocumented people coming into our county. Sorry, but that's pretty much the crux of it. Where's the affordable housing for people that have lived here for decades, that are terrified of losing their homes they've owned for 35 plus years because of, you know, higher tax rates? My entire family grew up here. I'm the only person left in Montgomery County, and I have a big family, aunts and uncles. My father grew up here, grandparents. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. I only know that I see a lot of fluff, a lot of talk. And let me tell you, look at the verbiage now. now it's not only affordable housing, it's deeply affordable housing.
Well,
what does that even mean?
I want to pivot from one of the points that you just made to Mike. Mike, Cheryl was talking about what's called the missing middle now. And, you know, this is workforce housing, essentially. Arlington County is struggling with this because any attempt to add additional density meets resistance from the public. So how do we address this missing middle into our development process?
We have to have candid conversations. I mean, we have to have leaders who are willing to deal with the fact that there are going to be folks who are unhappy with this as a potential outcome. And we have to be able to go back to our master plans, and we've got to be able to make sure that we've got the capacity there within those master plans. But then we have to put real programs on the table that, to your point, can augment what a developer can do. And we've got to be able to streamline the regulatory process to allow them to get those projects moving forward. I mean, one of the challenges with MPDUs always was that it's a part of a larger development. So it was always 12.5% of some number of other units being built. We haven't been building a whole lot of other units either. So if you're you're dependent upon a big development taking place to get 12.5% for a moderately priced dwelling unit. We've actually got to just start focusing on workforce housing as a stock. So that's what we're building, not trying to do another larger development and trying to hope we get 12.5% of something on the side. We've got to have a concerted effort on workforce.
Well, thank you. Cheryl, we got about 30 seconds left. I'll let you wrap it up for us before we go to break.
Okay, first and foremost, I think that we need to address the crime issue in Montgomery County and actually the state of Maryland. First and foremost, enough. What is happening is unfathomable. So before we
how does that impact housing?
Who's going to want to live here? I mean, you know, it's affecting every aspect of our lives, quality of lives, businesses moving in, among other issues, obviously, but I think as far as the affordable housing, Mike, you made a good point. They need to listen. They're not listening. Listen, I've been to the Thrive 2050 meetings. They don't care. They're not listening to a word. So
Cheryl, we got to wrap. We got to go to break. So
okay,
we're going to have to end it there. When we come back from this short break, parting shots.